even the Arabic ones. How? In order to retrieve or collect my data, I have to develop some keywords, Iraq, or Saddam Hussein, or Saddam and US, or America, or the United States. So these are the keywords that I developed in order to retrieve all the related articles and neglect and just get rid the unrelated ones. So when the period was the US-led invasion, I tried to specify the period taking only 7 weeks. 1 week earlier to the invasion, which is the war build-up, until the moment that when the US president announced that it is the mission accomplished. Okay, so 7 weeks. So the number of articles, you can see 11,264 articles, and the number of words 9 million plus, 9,223 words. So the software I used triangulation of softwares, for example, Sketch Engine, Wordsmith, also many online platforms in order to try to get or to avoid objectivity. So the way I go about the analysis is the word frequency, the collocates, concordance lines, categorization, semantic categorization, and the discourse historical approach. It is one of the CDA approaches that's developed by Rodwood and Resgill. So after looking or having the first look into my data and categorizing them semantically, I found that this was the main topic or the main theme. Okay, so the first one, for instance, or the first theme is the discourse on Saddam's whereabouts when the United States invaded Iraq. Discourse on reference to the Second War, discourse on the ultimatum given to Saddam to leave, discourse on Saddam's crimes, discourse on Saddam's armament, discourse on Saddam's threat, discourse on Saddam's WMD, and discourse on humanitarian intervention, discourse on Saddam's removal, and the last one is discourse on Saddam's link to Al-Qaeda and when he was constructed as a threat to the United States, to the neighbors, and to the global community. Also, as a way, sorry, these numbers are converted to Arabic, and I don't know, but it's okay. So we have the frequencies or the number of mentions in the two wars. I compared Iran-Iraq war with the US-led invasion. And as we can see, there is a huge difference in terms of reporting and in terms of mention. We can see the US-led invasion much bigger or much more frequencies than the Iran-Iraq war. Also, if you put into our consideration that the US-led invasion is 7 weeks, while the Iran-Iraq war is 8 years. Okay. So there is something there. There is something that we have to examine. Okay, this is the first sign that lead me to go and search the US press discourse. So news access, you know, to get an access to the media, it's very important because it is ideological. We cannot get access to the US press or any newspaper unless we have the power or unless we have something that we benefit the society or the newspaper holders or etc. So not anyone can get an access to the US or our local press unless you have something important. And when you write something important, here you are becoming worthy. Here you are becoming important because you have something to share. Also, not everyone has the access to the press at different time spans. So I will talk about it because having access is influencing people. It's about ideology. When the media or the press interview someone, it means that he will make or in a cumulative way will have an influence on their audience or the public audience. So also it's a comparison. If we look at the Saddam in the Iran-Iraq war and Khomeini, okay, the religious leader of Iraq, we can see that both of them were given access to the news. And we know that by knowing that, by studying the reporting verb or saying verb. So we can see, as we can see, Saddam says tell, proclaim, announce, urge, and you can see the number of the reporting or saying verbs, and it is the same for Khomeini in the Iran-Iraq war. So both of them were given access to the news, okay? So they were allowed to express their opinion, to attack each other, to say whatever they want, okay, but they don't have to attack the US press. So, however, in 2003, we can see the access of Saddam Hussein and Bush. The previous war, the Iran-Iraq war, was their own war. It is their war. It's not ours. Okay. Now it is becoming. It is our war. So Saddam was not given a voice. He was totally muted. Okay. On the other hand, you can see Bush or the US invasion. We can see he says more than 1,000 times: tell, speak, ask, declare, call, announce, and the other words. So we can see the access and the bias in the US press, and this is one way of controlling the other. And you know, Saddam was accused of having WMD, and this is one of the justifications to go to Iraq. So not listening to the other is it's like proving that they have the chemical weapons. The first strategy for attacking the other, which is Saddam, because here Saddam was represented as a person or a nation in one person. Okay, a nation in one person. So Saddam equals Iraq. So to attack Iraq is to attack Saddam, or to attack Saddam is to attack Iraq. So by convincing the public opinion that Saddam was bad and we have to remove him, instead of defending that, we say we want to go to Iraq for other purposes. So attacking the ethos of Saddam, they call it ethos, or the ethical of Saddam Hussein, is to go for Iraq. So this was one of the major justification the United States made to go for Iraq. So the first theme is the criminalization of Saddam Hussein, and one of the strategies is through the criminal or the crime-related lexicals. Okay, so the criminalization was also realized through what Fowler calls an over-lexicalization, or criminalization, sorry. And they use it through crime-related lexicals, like the butcher of Baghdad. This is the one I quoted in the title, and the genocidal, murderer, murderous, thug, brute, and brutality, tortures, and the rest of the words. Okay. The second strategy is over-lexicalization strategy. The criminalization was also realized through what Fowler calls an over-lexicalization strategy, in which the excessive use of words-like synonymous words is employed. The criminal action attributed to Saddam were therefore referred to repeatedly in the press discourse with synonymous or near synonymous lexical, whether in the form of verb, nouns, and adjective. These colloquies can either be found appearing in one paragraph, in one sentence, or in one article, and when they are looked at collectively, they can change the public ideology or opinion towards a particular thing, and that particular thing or person is Saddam, and as a result is going for Iran. So if we look at these examples in over-lexicalization strategy, the man had been jailed. He is here talking about the Iraqi people, which is one of the justification, is the humanitarian motive. I'm not defending Saddam Hussein. He was a criminal. Okay, he killed many of his own people, but this is to show the U.S. discourse. So this is a very important disclaimer. The men had been jailed, beaten, and had their houses burned to the ground under Iraq President Saddam Hussein's brutal regime. Okay, we can see that jail, beaten, their houses burned. These are all actions, and they can be like synonymous or near synonymous words. So the narration of heroic stories by taking or selecting victims and choosing his past wrongdoings and refer to it again, although they happened 15 years before, so they now reappear or go to the surface, or they bring it to the surface. So it is one of the victims who get bumped in Halabja. So it was live frozen. He describing what happened the moment of the using of chemical weapons. It was live frozen, live that stopped like watching a film and suddenly it hung on one frame. It was a new kind of death to me, and the rest of the paragraph. So it's like dramatization to argue, it's an argument for pity and for emotion, okay? To make people emotional, okay? So relationalization, and in this strategy, referring to anyone who has done or did a wrongdoing, whether his militia, you can say militia, has a negative construction, paramilitary forces, military support, thugs, loyalties, jihadists, mujahids, bodyguards, and even his sons, and the chemical Ali, the same, who was very well known for gassing Halabja, the Kurd people. So as you know, some of these colloquies have an obviously negative crime-related meaning when their literal meaning is examined. Like example, for instance, the word thugs, for instance, is defined by the Cambridge English Dictionary as a man who acts violently, especially to commit a crime. And also the word henchman is defined as someone who does unpleasant or illegal things for a powerful person. So all these can refer or imply that he is a bad guy, and also as a way of demonizing him and also criminalizing him. Another theme. Yes, another theme is the Hitlerization. Okay, the Hitlerization of Saddam from the word Hitler. Okay, Hitler, as you know, he already gained his reputation for being evil, and because he killed many people and he committed murder against his British people and against many other countries. So also he was likened to Hitler, and this one was like quoting people, the Hitler of the 21st century, and a modern day Hitler are made comments such as, also people make comments that he is as dangerous as Hitler was, or we are dealing with Hitler revisited, or he is Hitler number 2. Okay, so it's Hitlerization. Also compare his action to Hitler's tactics. As we know, Saddam Hussein used kids and young people and sometimes women by training them in order to fight, okay, with the military. So this tactics also compared to Hitler by saying that the lion cubs are cohesive and well trained, said Peter Singer, a military analyst at the Booking Institution. My guess is that we will see them follow the model of Hitler in 1945. Saddam's probable end was compared to the death of other dictators like Mussolini and Hitler. For instance, Mr. Hussein appeared to set the stage for the situation similar to that which confronted Hitler in 1942-45 when the march of the Soviet army bore down on the German dictator in a bunker near the Reichstag in Berlin, provoking his suicide. So Saddam also on the use of chemical weapons. During the Iraq War, they were never referred as as weapons of mass destruction weapons. They were referred to as chemical weapons. But in the US-led invasion and the war build-up, they were referred to as mass destruction weapons because we know the effect they leave when they are used is different, okay? Saddam is never qualified with the use of chemical weapons in the Iraq-Iran war. Instead, it was his own people, his own army, his own military his own force. So he was never qualified with the use of chemical weapons. On the contrary of that, we can see in the U.S. invasion build-up, we can see that Saddam is directly connected to such actions. Okay, so Saddam killed his own people, Saddam bombed his own people. Okay, so Saddam and Halabja, we know also the context of Halabja when the Iranian army, with the help of the Kurdish guerrillas, attacked or entered the Iraqi soil. And as a result of that, Saddam committed a crime by bombing his own people, in addition to the invaded forces. So all this context was shortened to Saddam killed his own people by when you hear the word Halabja. So the context of Iranian military or forces with the Kurds entered the Iraqi soil was deleted, was omitted, and were backgrounded. Okay? So some of the concluding remarks. So the U.S. press operated as a propaganda machine on the behalf of the officials and worked on setting the agenda, using process of selective shaming that focused on accounts of abuses, violation of human rights, and the crimes committed in the past. The U.S. press did not maintain their journalistic practices in the time of peace and in time of wars, where their nation went to the war with Iraq. By backgrounding and foreground details following the U.S. officials' version of the stories, the U.S. press was guilty of omitting important details as well as developing arguments to distort reality, to create new realities that would serve the interests of the U.S. politics and politicians. And the last one is the over-reliance on the official versions of the events. And the most important thing is that the same strategy still applies in the Middle East by demonizing, criminalizing many leaders, or what they call them dictators. Although they are dictators, but they are only highlighted when they go, when their policy go against the United States. That's what's happening now in Saudi Arabia or in Syria. Now he is totally demonized and he was criminalized for the wrongdoing he did before. While the Saudi Arabia, we can see they are not very frequent in the U.S. press because they are allied with the United States. Although I cannot generalize unless I investigate the U.S. discourse in regard to these countries. But this is like just only speculation and based on the observation I see from the news also, which can be worthy to investigate or to examine such discourses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Doctor. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. ضياء, for this presentation, actually. It is a very interesting one, although I think that it is something painful to feel that you are part of an agenda and setting such a work, actually. Okay, he actually, Mr. Researcher has tackled the Luxembourg, the discursive construction, and he has tried to answer a question, which is how was Saddam discursively constructed during the US-led invasion? And the results show the negative representation of evaluation of Saddam in the US press.